And so do you, understandably, do you take issue with the fiat monopoly system which we have at the moment? So I mean, something like Doug Carswell, the MP, that's bringing in this the legal tender laws. How does that stand for liberty, and well, how does that look for libertarians?
Well, I think the idea, it goes back to what I said earlier. When politicians put through the Inland Revenue, when they put a gun to your head and they say hand over X% of your earnings this year, and in Britain, let's not forget, the average person is working for government from the 1st of January to something like the 1st of June each year. Tax freedom day for the average person, not the high earner, but for the average person comes around the 1st of June. Then you just see how intrusive government is.
Yeah.
But then when you realise that the money that you're legally allowed to have in your wallet, in your pocket, in your bank account, is itself a state money. I mean, goodness, the head of state has her impression on it, and that at the heart of our banking system is a Soviet, I mean, the Bank of England, with its, its monetary policy committee centrally planning interest rates. Then you realise this isn't a capitalist society at all. This is not a free market society at all. This is an elite society that is designed to benefit a sort of bizarre ruling class. That sort of it's sort of the coming together of powerful business interests, deeply corporatist business interests, and the politicians. Okay. So for me, this is a deeply authoritarian and statist and coercive system. And I think on that there are moments where you have to empathise with some of the political atmospherics of people in the Occupy movement. They might not be, they might not have the most clear understanding of economics, but they smell big business and big politics in bed with each other, and they smell the corporatism of it. They smell that something's wrong. For me, what's wrong is that this is a deeply statist system. What we should, of course, have is a proper free market. We should have choice in banking. We should have choice in currencies. And it's extraordinary, isn't it, that if we take this pound, which most Eurosceptics are, well, the pound has lost, because of inflation, it's lost something like 98.8% of its value since 1950. Well, you'd be pretty hard-pressed to find, I'm going to suggest, any private currency, if we were allowed to have that sort of market, any private currency that could do worse than that. I think that if Richard Branson or Tesco or you were going to launch, your company, asset company, they were going to launch your own private currency, and you had it backed by real things that had real value, I'm sure you're going to do, not only are you not going to have your money eroded by inflation, but you're going to, you're going to really look after your customers. And if my purchasing power in 1950 is X, well, it's going to be X plus some 60 or 70 years later. Yeah,
absolutely. Because also, I mean, talking about private money, the whole point of it is, and I remember you once, when I first saw you talk, you said you weren't very sure what the correct currency or the form of money should be, but whatever the people demanded, that was the right money. So if since 1950 our company had a currency and it had lost to 98% of its value, people would no longer demand it.
Yes, I think you'd have gone out of business in about 1953.
Absolutely,
that's my hunch, and you'd have gone off to do something more productive and better. So, I mean, that's how it would work, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, inflation is very pernicious. It is a hidden tax. And of course it's pernicious because the people it adversely affects the most are often the poorer, it's people without assets, it's the elderly who find themselves on fixed incomes. Friends on the radical left who are most concerned with the poor, they should be the first to suggest that we should have private competing currencies.
Yeah.
Because